flows on in endless song above earth's lamentations. I hear the sweet though far off hymn that hails a new creation. Through all the tumult and the strife, I hear the music ringing. It finds an echo in my soul. How can I keep from singing? How can I keep from singing? What though my joys and comforts die? I know my Savior liveth. What though the darkness gathered round? Songs in the night he giveth. No storm can shake my inmost calm, while to that refuge clinging, since Christ is Lord of heaven and earth. How can I keep from singing? How can I keep from singing? I lift my eyes, the cloud grows thin. I see the blue above it, and day by day that pathway smooths. Since first I learned to love it. Yeah, the peace of Christ makes fresh my heart, the fountain ever springing. For all things are mine since I am his. How can I keep from singing? How can I keep from singing? No storm can shake my inmost calm, while to that refuge clinging, since Christ is Lord of heaven and earth. How can I keep from singing? How can I keep from singing? I've been stacking up the years I spent trading punches with the enemy. Ooh, built myself a double thick stone tower of lies higher than the eyes can see. Trapped in my flesh and bone, crying out to you, Lord, I'm desperate. Love, come rattle this cage and set me free. All of my fears like Jericho walls gotta come down, come down. All of my fears like Jericho walls gotta come down, oh Lord. My prison turns to ruin when your love moves in. All of my fears like Jericho walls gotta come down, oh Lord. walls gotta come down, come down. Ooh, truth is crashing through the pride and the blame, cutting straight to the heart of me. Ooh, long before I ever called your name, you were fighting for my victory. Carved in your flesh and bone, the wounds that have set my soul's forgiven. Yeah, now I can feel the darkness trembling. All of my fears like Jericho walls gotta come down, come down. All of my fears like Jericho walls gotta come down, come down. Oh Lord, my prison turns to ruin when your love moves in. All of my fears like Jericho walls gotta come down, oh Lord. My prison turns to ruin when your love moves in. All of my fears like Jericho walls gotta come down, oh Lord. Rebuild me from the ground up. All I wanna see is you. Terrify the lies with the truth. All of my fears like Jericho walls gotta come down, come down. All of my fears like Jericho walls wanna come down, oh Lord. My prison turns to ruin when your love moves in. All of my fears like Jericho walls gotta come down, oh Lord. My prison turns to ruin when your love moves in. All of my fears like Jericho walls gotta come down, oh Lord. My prison turns to ruin when your love moves in. All of my fears like Jericho walls gotta come down, oh Lord.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of our prayer meeting where we gather together, we read the Bible, and we try to dive in a little bit deeper for a better journey through our Christian life, a better walk for us to be able to really understand what we have and to be able to help communicate it to others when hopefully that we're sharing the gospel with somebody down the road, whether it be today, tomorrow, or later in the week, or who knows when God might place somebody in front of you where you might where you will recall back to things that you have read and help better steady you in your faith. So great for all of you guys to be here today. Thank you for joining me today. I see we have everyone coming still in. I see a couple of the notifications went out late, but I'm glad for all who are here this morning. We got Mayor, we have Noah Man. Hey, Ting Ting, I did receive your email. I'll check it out after today's stream, okay? Dr. Insomnia, good morning. We got Princess Gigi. Hello, Cheryl. It's great to see you. Hawk Rises, good morning. We also have DM here. Linda Hayes. Hello, Young Canuck and Crazy Farmer. Good morning. We have Alan Armstrong here. We have Ivy. Stand by God for God. Yeah, stand by for God. Good morning. Mary Ann Pletcher. Good morning. It's good to see you. Hello, Andrew McCown. I think I also saw Mary here. Yes, I did. Yeah. Good morning. Jeannie West is here. Vic McCatton is here. Dr. Insomnia, Princess Gigi. Good morning. Good morning. Ian is here as well. Good morning. Great to see you. Hello, Clarence and Trevor Jenkins. Good morning. Good morning. I'm glad that you guys are all coming in this morning to be part of today's prayer meeting. We hold these every weekday at 9:05 a.m. So that's Monday through Friday. We take the weekend off. No prayer meetings on the weekend. And we typically do Monday through Friday unless otherwise posted or said so in the stream. So that way you guys know. Who else we have here? Ron is here today. Good morning, Ron. Great to see you as well. Hello, Cool Ramon. Fantastic to see you as well. Hey, good morning, everybody. If you joined us yesterday, we actually went through 2 chapters yesterday because it was a whole encounter, and we had to go ahead and cover both chapters in order for it to really kind of make sense. Didn't want to kind of stop midway through and not do that. So we will be picking up in 23 today. Acts chapter 23 is where we will be at today. So if you want to find your spot there and kind of maybe put your ribbon there, so that way you can go ahead and open up to it quickly when we get ready to go ahead and read. For all of you guys out there that may not have a Bible, a physical copy of a Bible, it's so important that you have one with you. Please reach out to me via my email, which I know DM has provided in the chat there. All I need is a name and a mailing address to go along with it. I partner with another individual whose ministry is sending out Bibles to those people in need. So if you need a Bible, please reach out to me via that email. If you still want to follow along today and you don't have a physical copy of the Bible because you just got off your email and you sent me an email, say, hey, Frank, I need an email. I need a Bible. But you don't have one right now. Please follow the other link that DM has shared in the chat there. One that will take you, if you're watching on your mobile device, is Bible Gateway app, and that is for your iPhone or your Android, and you can go ahead and download it. It's totally free, and you'll have a great resource at your own fingertips. There's some great things about it, such as it's audio. You can listen to it as you read. Maybe you got some hard names and biblical names. There's always hard biblical names to pronounce, and you don't know how quietly it's supposed to sound, and you hear it and you're like, that's the way you say it. It's a great way to do that. You also can highlight things, make notes. It's a great way of having a electronic tool with the Bible in it. So another fantastic way of following along today and having it there whenever you might need to pull something from it. So there you have it. So check out those two sources there. Bible Gateway. So also you can do BibleGateway.com if you're watching on a computer or desktop, and go ahead and just go to the website there. All right. So it's great to see everybody coming in like that. Thank you so much for being here and being part of the prayer meetings again. So let's go ahead and we'll open up in prayer after I got all those announcements out of the way, and then we go ahead and focus in on the word, and then we'll dive into our prayer time. All right. So let's go ahead, and I will lead us in prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for today, Lord. Thank you for this time that's been set aside for you. Lord, thank you for this opportunity to come and worship and praise you, Lord, for all the things you continue to do in our lives as you continue to lead us. Lord, I just ask that you will continue to be with all the ones who could not make it, and be with all the ones that are here today, Lord, and all the ones who are listening later. Lord, I just ask that you will continue to watch over us, protect us, and keep us safe, Lord. Lord, just give us the wisdom that we need, Lord, to go ahead and dive into your word today, Lord, to be able to really understand what you have set out before us today, Lord. Lord, I just ask that for that wisdom for not only myself, Lord, but all who are listening and following along, Lord, that they might also have wisdom as well as we dive into your word. Lord, just continue to guide us in today's meeting. In Jesus' precious name I pray. Amen. All right. So we're going to go ahead and dive into this. If you recall, if you were here yesterday, we dived into two chapters of Acts. We did chapter 21 and 22, and it chronicled Paul's return to Jerusalem. And if you remember, at the very first part of chapter 21, there were lots of people telling Paul not to go back to Jerusalem. If he was going to go back to Jerusalem, he would be arrested by the Jews there in Jerusalem. And he said he would go to death for the name of Christ. And he continued on his journey to Jerusalem. And sure enough, when he did arrive in Jerusalem after a small time being there, he was surrounded by the Jews, the ones that he had preached to in Asia, and they had stirred up a crowd, stirred up the people there in the synagogue, and they beat Paul until the centurions came. The centurions and the Roman guards came, and they took Paul away. Paul had an opportunity to go ahead and speak to the crowd, and he spoke to them in the Hebrew, which made them all silent because they believed that he may have been a Gentile for whatever reason. And he preached to them his testimony, And then as he was finishing up his testimony, as he was telling him his commission that was given to him by God, they turned on him again and they started calling for his death. Then he went ahead and brought into the Roman jail cell there, and he informed the centurions, the people, the Romans there, that he in fact was a Roman citizen himself, and that because he was born a Roman citizen, he has certain rights that have been violated already. And they were pretty scared because they took that very seriously in the time of Rome. I wish we would take that anyway, very seriously. And so they were frightened because they know they had broken some protocols in the treatment of Paul. And so we catch up to Paul right after that here in the start of chapter 23 as we start diving in. So I'm going to read back a couple verses at the end of 22 to kind of lead us back into 23, and then we'll go ahead and start our reading through 23. All right, so let's go ahead and do that. So let's see here. There we go. We'll start in verse 26 of 22, and then we'll continue to read. All right. So verse 26 says, when the centurion heard that, he went and told the commander, saying, take care what you do, for this man is a Roman. Then the commander came and said to him, tell me, are you a Roman? Paul answered. He said, yes. The commander answered, with a large sum I have obtained this citizenship. And Paul said, but I was born a citizen. Then immediately those who were about to examine him withdrew from him, and the commander was also afraid after he found out that he was a Roman, and because he had bound him. The next day, because he wanted to know for certain why he was accused by the Jews, he released him from his bonds, and the commander and commanded the chief priests and all the council to appear, and brought Paul down and set him before them. So we're going to start in chapter 23 now. Okay. Then Paul, looking earnestly at the council, said, men and brethren, I have lived in all good conscience before God until this day. And the high priest, Ananias, commanded those who stood by him to strike him on the mouth. Then Paul said to them, God will strike you, you whitewashed wall. For you sit to judge me according to the law. And do you command me to be struck contrary to the law? And those who stood by said, do you revile God's high priest? Then Paul said, I do not know, brethren, that he was the high priest. For it is written, you shall not speak evil of a ruler of your people. But when Paul perceived that one part were Sadducees and the other Pharisees, he cried out in the council, men and brethren, I am a Pharisee, the son of a Pharisee. Concerning the hope and resurrection of the dead, I am being judged. And when he had said this, dissension arose between the Pharisees and the Sadducees, and the assembly was divided. For the Sadducees say that there is no resurrection and no angel or spirit, but the Pharisees confess both. Then there arose a loud outcry, and the scribes of the Pharisees' party arose and protested, saying, we find no evil in this man, but if a spirit or an angel has spoken to him, let us not fight against God. Now when there arose a great dissension, the commander, fearing lest Paul might be pulled to pieces by them, commanded the soldiers to go down and take him by force from among them and bring him back into the barracks. Verse 11. But the following night, the Lord stood by him and said, be of good cheer, Paul, for as you have testified it for me in Jerusalem, so you must also bear witness at Rome. And when it was day, some of the Jews banded together and bound themselves under an oath, saying that they would neither eat nor drink till they had killed Paul. Now, there were more than 40 who had formed this conspiracy. They came to the chief priests and elders and said, "We have bound ourselves under a great oath that we will eat nothing until we have killed Paul. Now you, therefore, together with the council, suggest to the commander that he be brought down to you tomorrow, as though you were going to make further inquiries concerning him. But we are ready to kill him before he comes near." So when Paul's sister's son heard of their ambush, he went and entered the barracks and told Paul. Then Paul called one of the centurions to him and said, "Take this young man to the commander, for he has something to tell him." So he took him and brought him to the commander and said, "Paul, the prisoner called me to Paul the prisoner called me to him and asked me to bring this young man to you. He has something to say to you." Then the commander took him by the hand, went aside, and asked privately, "What is it you have to tell me?" And he said, "The Jews have agreed to ask that you bring Paul down to the council tomorrow, as though they are going to inquire more fully about him. But do not yield to them, for more than 40 of them lie in wait for him, men who have bound themselves by an oath that they will neither eat nor drink till they have killed him. And now they are ready, waiting for the promise from you." So the commander let the young man depart and commanded him, "Tell no one that you have revealed these things to me." And he called for 2 centurions, saying, "Prepare 200 soldiers, 70 horsemen, and 200 spearsmen to go to Caesarea at the 3rd hour of the night, and provide mounts to set Paul on, and bring him safely to Felix the governor." He wrote a letter in the following manner: "Claudius Lysias, the most excellent governor Felix, greetings. This man was seized by the Jews and was about to be killed by them. Coming with the troops, I rescued him, having learned that he was Roman. And when I wanted to know the reason they accused him, I brought him before their council. I found out that he was accused concerning questions of their law, but had nothing charged against him deserving of death or change. And when it was told me that the Jews lay in wait for the man, I sent him immediately to you, and also commanded his accusers to state before you the charges against them. Farewell." Then the soldiers, as they were commanded, took Paul and brought him by night to Antipatris. The next day they left the horsemen to go with him, and returned to the barracks. When they came to Caesarea and had delivered the letter to the governor, they also presented Paul to him. And when the governor had read it, he had asked what province he was from. And when he understood that he was from Sicilia, he said, "I will hear you when your accusers also have come." And he commanded him to be kept in Herod's Patrium. All right. We're going to go ahead and stop there in the end of chapter 23. And here we'll go ahead and kind of break this down just a little bit today as we go through. And so here we have then Paul looking back over in verse number 1. It said here, "Then Paul, looking earnestly at the council, said, 'Men and brethren, I have lived in all good conscience before God until this day.'" Typical of Paul, he spoke the truth without boasting. Even before he became a Christian, he lived in all good conscience before God, persecuting Christians because he thought it was what God wanted. In verse number 2 here, "And the high priest Ananias commanded those who stood by him to strike him on the mouth." This act of cruelty toward Paul was not out of character for Ananias, a man who completely abused his power. Some years later, he would be assassinated by his own people. We continue here on 3 and 4. Then Paul said to him, God will strike you, you whitewashed wall, for you sit to judge me according to the law. And do you command me to be struck contrary to the law? And those who stood by said, do you revile God's high priest? Paul's words were accurate. The high priest was out of order. Jesus also had an encounter with the high priest on the night before his crucifixion, when he was struck in the degrading way. He challenged the high priest to bear witness of the evil of which he was accused. The high priest could produce no evidence. We continue here in verse 6 through 9. But when Paul perceived that one part were Sadducees and the other Pharisees, he cried out to the council, men and brethren, I am a Pharisee, the son of a Pharisee. Concerning the hope and resurrection of the dead, I am being judged. And when he had said this, dissension arose between the Pharisees and the Sadducees, and the assembly was divided. For the Sadducees say that there is no resurrection and no angel or spirit, but the Pharisees confess both. Then there arose a loud outcry, and the scribes of the Pharisees' party arose and protested, saying, we find no evil in this man, but if a spirit or an angel has spoken to him, let us not fight against God. The Sanhedrin was composed of both Pharisees and Sadducees, and the two groups did not agree on the resurrection from the dead. As the target of both parties, Paul knew he would not receive a fair hearing, so he made it known that he was a second-generation Pharisee on trial for believing in the resurrection of Jesus. In doing so, he caused a dispute in which the Pharisees began to defend his belief against the anti-resurrection Sadducees. Verse number 10 here. Now, when there arose a great dissension, the commander, fearing lest Paul might be pulled to pieces by them, commanded the soldiers to go down and take him by force from among them and bring him into the barracks. 3 times in a matter of hours, Paul's life was threatened. Now he found himself under guard in Roman barracks. So in chapter 21, verses 31, in chapter 22, verse 22, and then right here again, chapter 23 and verse 10, his life was in danger of being murdered by the Jews here. In verse number 11, but the following night the Lord stood by him and said, be of good cheer, Paul, for as you have testified it for me in Jerusalem, so you must also bear witness at Rome. So here in verse 11, the Lord himself, not an angel, stood before Paul, encouraged him in his difficult assignment. Be of good cheer, meaning take courage, is a phrase Jesus often used when his followers were suffering. While Jesus did not tell the apostle he would avoid suffering, he assured Paul he was not done with him until Paul served him in Rome. So we drop down to verses 16 here through 18. So when Paul's sister's son heard of their ambush, he went and entered the barracks and told Paul. Then Paul called one of the centurions to him and said, take this young man to the commander, for he has something to tell him. So he took him and brought him to the commander and said, Paul, the prisoner called me to him and asked me to bring this young man to you. He has something to say to you. One of the few pieces of information in Scripture about Paul's family is here. He had a sister whose son heard of the assassination plot and made efforts to protect his uncle. It is also known that Paul's father was a Pharisee. So in verse number 19 through 24 here, then the commander took him by the hand, went aside, and asked him privately, what is it that you have to tell me? And he said, the Jews have agreed to ask you to bring Paul down to the council tomorrow, as though they're going to inquire more fully about him, but do not yield to them, for more than 40 of them lie in wait for him, men who have bound themselves by an oath that they will neither eat nor drink till they have killed him. And now they are ready, waiting for the promise from you. So the commander let the young man depart and commanded him, tell no one that you have revealed these things to me. And he called for 2 centurions, saying, prepare 200 soldiers, 70 horsemen, and 200 spearmen to go to Caesarea at the 3rd hour of the night, and provide mounts to set Paul on and bring him safely to Felix the governor. All right. The Roman commander knew enough of the religious and racial unrest in Jerusalem not to doubt the possibility of an attack. Lysias also wanted to protect himself by protecting Paul. The heavy protection he assigned proved how intent he was on maintaining Pax Roma, the Roman peace, in Jerusalem. Then verse 23 through 35 here, basically the end of the chapter. He called, we'll pick up here in 25. He wrote a letter in the following manner. Claudius Lysias, to the most excellent governor Felix, greetings. This man was about to be seized by the Jews, and he was about to be killed by them. Coming with the troops, I rescued him, having learned that he was a Roman. And when I wanted to know the reason they accused him, I brought him before their council. I found out that he was accused concerning questions of their law, but had nothing charged against him deserving of death or chains. And when it was told me that the Jews lie in wait for the man, I sent him immediately to you, and also commanded his accusers to stay before you the charges against him. Farewell. Then the soldiers, as the commander commanded, took Paul and brought him by night to Antipyrus. The next day they left the horsemen to go on with him and returned to the barracks. When they came to Caesarea and had delivered the letter to the governor, they also presented Paul to him. And when the governor had read it, he had asked what province he was from. And when he had understood that it was from Cilicia, he said, I will hear you when your accusers also have come. And he commanded him to be kept in Herod's Partidium. So here at the very end here, Lysias told Felix that he learned Paul was a Roman citizen and saved him on that account. But in fact, Lysias was prepared to flog Paul severely for disturbing the peace in Jerusalem, and only withheld his punishment when Paul made it known he was a Roman citizen. And based off of being a Roman citizen, he had certain rights that may not be violated until he actually would stand before a council and, of course, against in Roman court, right? So a couple things I want to pull from this real quick with you guys here as we learn a little bit more of Paul as this is setting up his trip to Rome, right? And him preaching to the Roman emperor at the time, and sharing his testimony. Again, just going to kind of piggyback off of yesterday a little bit of what we talked about, and how even in the midst of suffering, right? Because he knows suffering is coming. It's coming down around. He who was not promised no suffering, right? Jesus tells him to be of good cheer, to be of good courage. For you have testified for me in Jerusalem, so you must also bear witness at Rome. We're called to give witness wherever we are, whether it be in our own community or whether it be abroad, whether it be at your local city council or at the White House. We are told that we have to give an account of Christ. That us as Christians, followers of Christ, is our duty as citizens in heaven to never deny the name of Christ, but to always put him forth in all of our actions. to continue to share our testimony and the gospel to go along with it. Paul, obviously, here was in very, very precarious time, right? Because he knew this. He was basically in bondage at this point now, right? Because he's under protection of the Roman government from the Jews who want to kill him for preaching Christ. So once again, we see the punishment for preaching Christ, where people don't want to hear it. People that don't want to have their power challenged, knowing that there's one greater and fuller than they would ever be. Perfect judgment, perfect ruling under Christ. They don't want to lose their little corner of their little power rule that they have over people. So they don't want to be challenged by knowing that, I can actually have a relationship with my God without having to adhere to all of the rituals that you're asking me that I have to do. Or I can't have a relationship. They were fearful because it impacted so much of that society. No longer did you have to go to the temple to sacrifice. So you didn't have to purchase sacrificial animals no longer. So those people were being hurt by that. The Jewish leaders can no longer have authority over these individuals because of the sacrament process that they had, the sacrificial process that they had for them, because no longer was the high priest them. The high priest was Christ. And you have a direct relationship, and Christ had paid the full sacrifice by spilling his own blood on the cross for salvation. So, of course, they were angry at Christians of the way, as they would, as we've read many different times here in Acts, is what they called it, the way, which is true. The only way to heaven is through Christ. And so they continued to do this. So once again, have good courage out there. Be strong. Know that you are, if you have Christ in your heart, you have everything that you need, that Christ will provide, that he'll ensure that you'll be able to share the gospel. So don't be afraid next time you have an opportunity to share it. A lot of times we get hung up on our own deficiencies, our own weaknesses. We get hung up on those. I'm not a great talker. I don't speak well. I don't read well. I might not say the right things. And we get caught up on all of those things. But it's not us. We're not doing the work. Christ is doing the work through us. So next time, don't be afraid. Have good courage. We're not at the point where Paul was today, at least here in the United States yet. But that day will come. So it's best for us to be practicing and getting ready for when we have to actually have consequence for preaching Christ. All right, we'll pick up in 24 tomorrow, and we will follow Paul as he heads to Rome, and we will see what happens in the next few chapters here. We only got 4 chapters left of Acts, and then we're heading into Romans. And Romans is a fantastic book. Fantastic book. If you have not read Romans yet, it's fantastic. But as we finish up Acts, we can check it off. If you've been following, if you've been part of the prayer meeting now since the beginning of the year, we've gone through many books together already. This is another book that we have been able to successfully get through and read together. And so I think that is a fantastic thing that we are moving through these books together. Again, once again, if we claim we love the Lord, why would we not want to know more about the Lord, right? So, all right. All right, let me go ahead and put this in here real quick. No, it's 23 today. Today is October 5th. All right. Man, I can't believe it's already the 5th. Time is flying. Duke says, this is my first time through the Bible. Very epic. Thank you for the help, Frank. Absolutely. Absolutely. Young Canuck says, I haven't read Romans yet, so this will be interesting. Yeah, hopefully we can get to Romans by the end of next week. We'll be starting, so I'm very excited about that. All right. All right, so let's go ahead. I think we're starting with the prayer stuff here. Clarence says, please keep praying for me and my family. My dad is in terrible shape. All right. Hey, Kevin says, extra hard prayer for my stepdad, Ronnie Helms, is about to start hospice, and for my mom, Donna Helms, to stay strong through this process. To my dad, Mac, my son, Connor, and my whole family. Absolutely. I'm going to have to start that one. That's a lot to write down, but I will go ahead and put it down here, but so that way I can go back to it. Okay. All right. Okay. So if you have a prayer request, now will be the time to go ahead and put it in there. And we'll go ahead and I'll write down the prayer. You guys can write it down at home. I encourage you guys to do so. And then you can go ahead and pray for them again later throughout the day. Crazy Farmer says the usual prayers. All right. Young Canuck says, continue prayers for my neighbor's cat. I haven't heard any news, not even my cat carrier, not even to get my cat carrier back. And I really hope that he doesn't have to put the 4-month-old kitten down. All right. Hey, Duke says, please pray for the healing of my family. My dad is feeling a little better. Okay. Hey, Mary says, we found out a few days ago that my husband has cancer. Found out yesterday it's bad, maybe very bad. More tests coming. Thank you, everyone, for praying. Absolutely. Mary, sorry to hear that. I really am. Cool Ramon says, prayer for finances. Let's see here. Hey, Tina. Good morning. Says, friends of mine, their son, John, is very ill. Please pray for God's will. And I pray that John brings someone to Christ through all that he is going through. Okay. All right. Hey, Ian says, usual prayer for me, but I was told since I have always had disabilities, I may be able to draw Social Security from my dad on top of my own since he died before I was 18. Interesting. Okay, Ian. We'll definitely pray for you, my friend. I pray you'll be able to do that. Okay, let's see here. Hey, Ting Ting says, Jesus knows what I pray for. Faith is what we do not see and believe in what we hope for. Thank you for the prayers I ask. Absolutely, Ting Ting. Hey, Jeannie West, thank you so much. Says, well done. Your message today was very informative, Frank. Going back to read it again after coffee. Awesome. I'm glad it was very informative today. Thank you for the donation, Jeannie West. That's amazing. I appreciate you. Appreciate you tremendously. Thank you. Hey, Yvonne says finances for us as well. Hey, Elizabeth says, pray for my daughter's-in-law's dad, Tony, just diagnosed with Parkinson's. His daughter-in-law's dad. Tony. Okay. Let's see here. What else we have? Hey, Carla. Good morning. Says, pray for my daughter's doctors are having a hard time to pin down pointing what's causing her illness. My sister-in-law has 6 months to live. Pray for peace and strength for family. Carla. Okay. Daughter's doctors. Illness, and sister-in-law has 6 months to live. All right. Hey, Caitlin Du Bois says, our families, communities, and churches and countries, Lord, when it all goes down, help us keep our faith and see your glory. Yes. Hey, welcome back. Grace Observed Daily says, hi, everyone. Sorry I've been MIA. I hope everyone has been okay. Sorry for the absence. It's great to have you here today. Hey, Linda Hayes says, feeling better today. Still didn't sleep good last night, but able to walk. I'm glad that you were able to walk today, Linda Hayes. Hey, DM says, DM has an unspoken and the usual request for her. All right. Let's see here. Yes, Linda Hayes, Starlove. We have not heard from her in a while. Okay. DM says, for my finances too, need so many repairs on my house and needs of mine too. Okay. Hey, Dr. Mia says, pray for all those supporting family, faith, and freedom, especially in the days before election, when the godless ones grow desperate. Yes. Hey, Janice says, I just wanted to say thank you for all praying with me for my daughter. God bless you all, and may my daughter be cancer-free. In Jesus' name. Okay. Hey, Tina says, feeling overwhelmed and having a difficult time focusing. Sorry to hear that, Tina. Okay. Okay. So go ahead and take this time, and we'll go ahead and lift these requests here. Oh, Linda Hay says, please pray for Johnny. Safety, a drug dealer threatened him last week. Johnny is the manager at the RV park. Oh, wow. This is Linda Hayes. We will definitely keep Johnny in prayer. Hey, Kevin says, prayer sent to each of you, said and unspoken. Thank you, Frank. Absolutely. All right. All right. So let's go ahead and go, Lord, in prayer this morning and ask him for his will upon these things that we have here today. I'll pray aloud if you guys pray along with me. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for today, Lord. Thank you for this opportunity to be able to come together. Lord, I thank you for this space that we have to be able to do such things together. And Lord, to be able to praise and worship you, Lord, and to read your scriptures, Lord, to hear your words. Lord, I just thank you for that, for this time that we have, and this time that we have with one another to minister to each other. Lord, I just ask you that you continue to keep your hand upon this group. Lord, I know there's so many needs out there. Lord, there's so many hearts out there that may have not said anything today. Lord, I know there's unspoken requests. And you know all of our hearts here today, Lord. So, Lord, I just want to lift those unspoken to you today and ask for your will to be done upon them. Lord, continue to be with Clarence's family and be with his father, who is in terrible shape, Lord. I just ask that you, if it's your will, Lord, that you place your hand upon him and heal his body and just continue to strengthen him. Lord, be with Kevin's family, Lord. Be with Kevin's stepdad, Ronnie Helms, who's about to start hospice. And be with his mom, Donna Helms, to stay strong through this process, Lord. I pray that she will lean into you during this time, Lord. And Lord, that you will be with that family, Lord. Be with the grieving hearts and comfort all of them, Lord. Lord, I just ask that you place your hand upon Ronnie, upon this time that he has left. Lord, I just ask that you will continue to be with his family, Lord. Be with Kevin and his son, and Lord, be with his wife. Lord, just continue to strengthen them through this time, that they may be able to spend these last moments with their family member, Lord. Lord, continue to be with Crazy Farmer's family, Lord. Be with John's health, and be with Rat. Be with Caddy, Lord, who is pregnant right now. Lord, I just ask that you will give her a healthy pregnancy, Lord, that she may carry full term, Lord, and have a healthy baby. Lord, continue to be young Canuck's neighbor, Kat, Lord, who was having a rough go at it. Lord, I ask that if it's your will, Lord, that you may heal that cat, that kitten, and he may be able to return home here shortly. Lord, be with Duke's family, Lord, for the healing that is needed in that family. Lord, I just ask that you will continue to place your hand upon him. Lord, be with Mary D. and her family today, Lord. Be with her husband, who has just found out he has cancer. And from what we know, Lord, it's not good. Lord, I know none of this takes you by surprise. Lord, I just ask that you, if it's your will, Lord, that you may heal her husband, Lord. That you will be there and give Mary strength and her son's strength. Lord, that you will be with her husband, Lord, as well. Lord, I ask that you place your hand upon him today. And if it's your will, Lord, you heal his body. Lord, continue to be with Cole Ramon and his financial situation, Lord. You know what is needed there, Lord. You know what needs to happen. Lord, I just ask we give it to you and we'll solely rely on you. So, Lord, I ask that you will continue to work in Ramon's life and draw him close to you. Lord, be with Tina Walker's friend's son, John, who's very ill, Lord. I ask that you could use him for your testimony, for a testimony, Lord, that he might still be able to reach people for you, Lord, even in this state that he's currently in. Lord, most of all, Lord, I ask that you, if it's your will, Lord, that you heal him from this illness that he has. Lord, that you'll strengthen him and heal his body. Lord, be with Ian today. Lord, be with his friends and his family, Lord. I ask that you will continue to draw Harley and Zach to you, Lord. Lord, I ask for salvation for them today. Lord, continue to be with Ian's son, Cole. Ask for a healing. I know he's been sick, Lord. Lord, be with his family, Frankie and Bob, and be with his sisters. And Lord, just continue to be with Ian as he relies on you to take care of him, and as he works on finding a place to live. Lord, I just ask that you will be with him in all of this, his career and everything he's currently going through. Lord, I just ask that you will be with him today. Lord, be with Ting Ting. Lord, we thank you for everything you've done with her. Lord, just ask that you will continue to keep your hand upon her and just continue to strengthen her and guide her. Lord, be with Yvonne and her finances, Lord. Ask that you will continue to work in her life and continue to guide and direct her. Lord, be with Elizabeth's daughter, in-law's dad, Tony, who has been diagnosed with Parkinson's. Lord, I pray for that family today. Pray for Tony and his family. Lord, I pray for a mighty healing to take place in Tony's life. In your will, Lord. Lord, be with Carla's daughter. Be with the doctors who are searching for the illness, Lord. Cause of it. Lord, I pray that you give them wisdom and you help direct them, Lord. But most of all, Lord, I ask for a mighty healing for Carla's daughter. And be with Carla's sister-in-law, who doctors have said only has 6 months to live, Lord. Lord, I just ask that you will be with that family today. And you'll work in their lives. Lord, be with Linda Hayes, Lord. Be with her health. We thank you for her being able to walk after she had those shots yesterday, Lord. Lord, I ask that you will continue to work in Linda's life, Lord, her health, and you'll strengthen her and guide her. Lord, be with Johnny. Be with his safety, Lord, as he was encountered by a druggie yesterday, Lord. Lord, I just ask that you will watch over him, protect him, and keep him safe. Lord, just watch over Star Love Patriot. We have not heard from her in a while, Lord, and just ask that you will continue to keep your hand upon her today. Lord, be with DM. Lord, be with her finances and the repairs that she needs to have done in her house, Lord. Lord, be with her family, her sons, her grandkids, Lord. Lord, I pray that today is a day of salvation for those family members who have not received the Lord, who have not received your Son, Lord. So, Lord, I just ask that you will continue to work in their lives, Lord. Continue to be with DM and her friends, Lord, and any ailments they might be suffering from, Lord. I just ask that you place your hand upon them. Lord, just continue to direct and guide DM as well. To watch over her, protect her, and keep her safe, Lord. Lord, be with Janice's daughter. She's dealing with cancer right now, Lord. I just ask that you place your hand upon her today, Lord. Heal her body. Strengthen her today. Strengthen Janice. Lord, be with Tina, who's feeling overwhelmed today. Has had a hard time focusing. Lord, I just ask that you will be with her today. I ask that you will draw her close to you, Lord, and that she may be able to give all this care over to you, Lord. That you could take this overwhelming feeling from her. Lord, I just ask that you will continue to work in her life. Lord, be with me and my family, Lord. Be with Sharon and Gabby, Aubrey, and Frank David, Lord. Watch over them, protect them, and keep them safe. Lord, be with these platforms, these channels that we broadcast from, Lord. I just ask that you will watch over them, protect them, and keep them safe. And that your word will be heard as many people as possible. Lord, I just pray that you will continue to be with all of us today, Lord, as we depart, as we move away from here today, and we come back tomorrow at the next appointed time. Lord, I just ask that you will continue to watch over us, protect us, and keep us safe. In Jesus' precious name I pray. Amen. All right. Thank you, Yvonne. I appreciate that. Thank you so much for the donation. Thank you. I appreciate all of you guys here today. Thank you so much for being part of today's prayer meeting. Of course, we will meet again tomorrow, God willing, 9:05 Eastern a.m. We'll continue our journey through the book of Acts as we head into chapter 24 tomorrow. Very excited about that as we are coming to a close of the book of Acts, and we will be heading into Romans when we finished up here. And I thank you guys for your guys' constant prayers for me and my families. Thank you so much. Continue to pray for one another. Seriously, if you haven't taken the time to have a notebook or have some paper out and write down some of these requests today, challenge yourself to do so during the next one. And take a moment throughout the day and pray for somebody on that list. Thank you for all the support that you guys have given through this channel, whether it be through membership, whether it be through a donation, whether it be through something you've mailed to me through our P.O. box. Even if it's just a simple thing as liking and sharing or even subscribing, I thank you for all of that. I feel very humbled by the support that you guys show me. So thank you so much for all of that. With that being said, let's leave you off with a little bit of song. What did we end up with yesterday? I think we did In the Garden yesterday. Go ahead and we'll do that Old Rugged Cross today to end with. All right. We'll end with the Old Rugged Cross. I'll see you guys tomorrow, 9:05 a.m. I love you guys. God bless. and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a great one, everyone.
On a hill far away stood an old rugged cross, the emblem of suffering and shame. And I love that old cross where the dearest and best for a world of lost sinners was slain. So I'll cherish the old rugged cross till my trophies at last I lay down. I will cling to the old rugged cross and exchange it someday for a crown. To the old rugged cross I will ever be true, its shame and reproach gladly bear. Then he'll call me someday to my home far away, where his glory forever I'll share. So I'll cherish the old rugged cross till my trophies at last I lay down. I will cling to